Peeps and Sasaki are practicing magic. Peeps is impressed with Sasaki's progress because he didn't expect him to learn intermediate spells so easily. Sasaki doesn't find it that impressive and suggests it's because of the power that Peeps shared with him. But Peeps insists that it's still notable because in this world, magicians take decades to learn intermediate spells, so doing it in weeks is incredible. Afterward, Sasaki notes down his progress, and in today's session, he learned healing and lightning spells. Peeps praises his dedication, but Sasaki comments that memorizing the chants is becoming difficult. Peeps suggests he use a grimoire, making Sasaki think about anime and games. He asks where he can get one, and Peeps reveals that he has one in his hand. It turns out grimoires are just the generic term for an item that stores enchantments, and they don't have to be made of paper or ink, so his phone works perfectly. Sasaki is surprisingly happy with this, and he says it's time to meet with Mark. After that, he suggests eating something made by French. At the meeting with Mark, Sasaki negotiates some walkie-talkies, which Mark finds amazing, but Sasaki explains that they run on fuel and need to be recharged. Mark is still impressed, and even offers 100 gold for each battery. Sasaki is happy that his products are being well received, and he's glad he won't be stuck with the inventory. Mark thanks him for providing the items, and Sasaki apologizes for the recent delay, but Mark doesn't mind and asks if the things have settled down. Mark asks if he has any more stock, making an offer to buy everything, and Sasaki wonders why. So Mark reveals that Muller ordered him to buy the entire stock if he saw a good product, but he whispers to Sasaki, thinking that the growing tension with the neighboring nation might be the real reason, and it could be the prelude to something bigger, telling Sasaki to take care of himself. They see French outside the restaurant, and as they approach, Sasaki notices that business is going well. He hands French the payment for the month, who is surprised by the amount, and Sasaki also gives him a list of new recipes to learn. French suggests they go in to eat something. The two are glad to enjoy French's food, and after that, they return to the modern world. In the morning, Sasaki is awakened by a call from Hashizaki, informing him about a mission. She wonders if he got the notice from the director. He looks at his phone and finds several missed calls, so he hurries to work. When he gets there, Hashizaki scolds him for not always being ready, since it's his duty as an agent, making Sasaki apologize. Some veterans approach, and the director introduces them to their new colleague. After greeting Sasaki, they mention they'll go ahead, teasing Hashizaki to have fun as a nanny. In the director's office, they are informed about an operation to arrest a mass of unregistered psychic users. Sasaki questions if the arrest is just for not being registered, but the director explains they are an organized group, and one of the members caused damage with his powers. Sasaki recognizes the man who attacked Hashizaki among them, and the director states that the others are accomplices. Since they discovered their hideout, they are going to be captured to prevent further damage. On the way to the mission, Sasaki is nervous, but Hashizaki reassures him, saying he won't fight directly. Sasaki asks if she isn't afraid, but she says that high risks bring higher rewards. She counts on his support, but Sasaki only worries about if the job has workers' comp. They arrive at the location, and everyone gets into formation. As they prepare, Sasaki regrets that he didn't learn a protective barrier skill. Director Akutsu leads the operation from a mobile HQ, and soon gives the orders to start. But as they enter the hideout, they realize it's empty. They suspect they might be in the wrong place, but Hashizaki has a bad feeling. She suggests they leave, but suddenly, they hear a scream over the communicator, losing contact with the HQ. The soldiers panic, and soon a bowling pin crushes one of their heads. Bowling balls and pins start levitating, creating a tornado, and Hashizaki realizes they've fallen into a trap. Sasaki thinks the enemy might have wind control, but he doesn't feel any wind force in the room, so he concludes that it's telekinesis. The soldiers scream as they realize they're facing high-level psychic users. Some of them flee, and flying objects knock several of them down. A soldier launches an energy attack against the whirlwind, but it doesn't work. Sasaki is scared, but Hashizaki asks for his support. She advances, and Sasaki casts an icicle. Hashizaki quickly turns the ice into water and creates a shield to defend herself. They remain on the defensive, and one of their colleagues is lifted by the psychic. He begins to fall, but Hashizaki manages to cushion his fall with her water. The situation worsens, so she orders Sasaki to get away, but Sasaki knows she's exhausted and needs his water supply, so he decides to stay, saying he can't leave her behind. Hashizaki starts to admire him, while Sasaki thinks that being a deserter is a serious crime. Suddenly, they hear a voice, and one of the psychics reveals herself, surprised that there are still survivors, since she wasn't expecting such a good fight. Hashizaki starts to levitate, but when she starts to fall, she uses her water to save herself. She quickly turns the water into ice, surprising the psychic with her ability to also control its temperature. Hashizaki attacks her, but the girl easily dodges. Hashizaki prepares a barrage of attacks, but the girl keeps evading while approaching her. She touches Hashizaki, and somehow she faints, but the girl decides not to kill her due to her valuable ability. She calls out for Sasaki, threatening to kill Hashizaki if he doesn't reveal himself. Realizing the total failure of the mission and the defeat of his squad, Sasaki thinks he has no choice but to reveal himself. The psychic notices he's an unfamiliar face, making Sasaki begin to introduce himself. She finds him unlikable and quickly realizes he was the water source for Hashizaki. She acknowledges the efficiency of the duo, and Sasaki tries to regain some ground, so he praises her abilities, trying to extract some information. He asks about the name of her group, surprising her with his lack of knowledge. And the girl starts to smile, realizing he's a newbie. Sasaki tries to get more information, but she refuses to reveal anything. She notices he's calm, and Sasaki realizes he won't get any information, so he takes off his headphones and starts reciting a chant. This confuses the girl, but she soon realizes the danger while lightning bolt comes at her. The girl is startled by this, and more objects are thrown at Sasaki, but he manages to dodge and casts a lightning spell at that direction, knocking down 2 hidden psychics. The girl questions who he is, and he says that he's just a recruit. He offers a truce, suggesting a draw if she keeps silent about what she saw, and allow everyone to leave. The girl accepts this and asks his name. She proposes that he join them, but Sasaki declines, preferring to follow the majority. She tells him to speak to her if he changes his mind, because they would love to have his abilities. Before leaving, he questions her about his superiors, and she decides to release them, before disappearing. The day ends, and Sasaki reports that the enemy withdrew on their own. Akutsu is suspicious of him, but decides to believe it for now and apologizes for putting him in danger on his first mission. Sasaki is dismissed, and he goes to see Hashizaki, who is grateful for being saved. They go out for dinner as her way to say thank you, and while Sasaki orders a beer, Hashizaki asks for an orange juice, revealing that she is only 16 and still goes to school, but says she dresses older since she doesn't want to be underestimated because of her age. Sasaki thinks a normal 16-year-old would have other interests, and doesn't consider this a good use of her time. But Hashizaki explains that it's actually simple, because the job pays well, and they make a toast, commemorating their first job together. On the way home, Sasaki encounters a strange child. He thinks about reporting it, but hesitates because of the paperwork. He finally decides to call someone, but as he takes out his phone, he realizes she has disappeared. He suddenly sees the girl levitating, and a strange portal opens. She tells him goodbye, flying through the portal, and Sasaki is left wondering what just happened. Back at home, Sasaki surprises Peeps with the Kobe beef he wanted. Peeps becomes excited about the meal, and Sasaki thanks him for all his help. Peeps starts eating and can't believe the taste of it, while Sasaki wants to take a picture of him. Sasaki helps him clean up, and tells him about his first mission. He asks to learn a barrier spell, and Peeps agrees, suggesting a healing spell as well. Sasaki considers this urgent, so he asks Peeps to teach him after his meeting with Mark. He gets excited imagining the soft bed and French's food he will have after training, but nothing goes as planned, and he's surprised when the Viscount talks about war. Sasaki realizes that Mark was right, and Mahler says that the king ordered him to go to the front lines. The enemy is the Ogun Empire, a powerful kingdom with a large number of troops. Their force is twice as big, so if their army reaches the city, they will cause great damage. Sasaki is caught off guard when Mahler asks for his help. He wonders how to refuse, since he prefers to stay away from wars and politics. He says that he's just a craftsman, so he doesn't think he can help. But Mueller points out that the items that he has brought would be of great help in the war, so he asks for his exclusive services during the war. Mueller also points out how it takes 2 weeks by carriage to reach the front lines, so gathering and transporting the necessary items in a month would be impossible. He tried to negotiate with the city's companies, but there was an increase in food prices, so forcing the trade companies to help would be even